Alright, beautiful, let's get started. How are we all? Where are we coming from? You can't hear me, Angela. Can anyone else not hear me? I think Julie can hear me. Maybe check your settings there, Angela, maybe? I'm not sure, sorry. All right, so we've got quite a few people jumping in, so that's awesome. Hope you're all having a great start to the week, if it is the start to the week where you are. Oh, awesome, Linda. Wonderful. Vera, hi! Nambucca Heads. Where's that in Australia, Linda? I can hear you from Adelaide, South Australia. Hi, Tanya. Awesome. All right, well, let's jump in. If anyone has any initial questions about trauma-informed manifesting, or about trauma, or about manifesting, please go ahead and post it in the comments. I know some of you might just be watching along. Hi, Deb. Some people can't see me. Too bad this isn't earlier. It's 12 AM here in US. Oh, sorry, Jennifer. I've just got to do it when works for me, like, unfortunately, mum life. All right, let me see. All right, so I'm just gonna jump right in, and if you're here, say hello. Hi, Melissa, and if you're watching the replay, say hello as well, because I love to know who's watching the replay. I know it's sort of a good time for everyone. It's hard to please everyone with the time differences. So, what is trauma-informed manifesting? Trauma-informed manifesting originally came from me being obsessed with manifestation. But what happened was that I was manifesting amazing things, but then either I couldn't hold on to the things that I was manifesting. Like, I manifested buying a house at 21 years old, a sports car. Like, I was right into the secret. I used to manifest car parks and I went somewhere just crazy. But then what would happen was, because I wasn't aware of my traumas, I hadn't gone into that space yet of looking into, you know, my patterns and going into my shadow. What happened was that I would sabotage what I would get, so I couldn't hold on to it. And this happened over and over again for years, until I got into trauma healing. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, trauma healing is amazing, and clearing limiting beliefs is amazing, which I still believe that it is. But then I solely focused on that, and I completely forgot about the manifesting side. So what I was trying to do was, I was trying to manifest goals and feel happiness by healing alone. It's almost like, you know, just going into a garden and just pulling out all the weeds, but then not planting new plants, not planting seeds that you want, not planting the seeds that you need to create the beautiful garden that you want. And yes, we get to a place of neutrality and we feel much better than we felt before. We have more ease. But then if we don't have those flowers and those big goals kind of pulling us, then what can happen is we're like, oh, I'm just feeling like all I'm doing is all the time I'm just trying to find weeds. If any little weed pops up, I'm just pulling it out. If there's any little leaf popping out of the ground, I'm going out there and I'm like digging through the soil. Is there a weed? And I'm even digging more because I'm like, I can't see any weeds on the surface, so there's got to be more there. That definitely has its place, and I teach that in root cause therapy of how to do that, getting to the roots. But you get stuck in this cycle of digging and thinking, because when you first start doing trauma healing, you have a huge sense of relief. you have this huge sense of, I feel so much lighter, I feel so much better. So if I keep doing this, then I'll continue to have those moments, and we keep chasing those initial relief moments, right? But Chloe, you can totally relate, yeah. But what I remembered was, and what I started getting into again was, hang on, if I start looking at manifestation again in terms of getting what I want, and not just like being frustrated of like, this is what I want and I'm really stressed and I'll just try and heal another limiting belief and it's not working and I'm feeling stressed and oh my gosh, there must be another limiting belief. What I thought was, okay, I'm going to dive back into manifesting. I'm going to go back into it. And literally when I started getting into it, and when I started thinking more positively along with the healing work, along with the somatic healing, the trauma healing work, things moved so rapidly. It just completely blew my mind. And in that moment, I'm like, I know I'm going to make a course about this, because these results are literally out of this world. Like, these results are crazy. So for me, it was like, with Ryan and I started on my own, and then after a year, me and Ryan started the Melbourne Centre of Healing, it was called, and we had no money when we started. We like borrowed like like 1,300 from his mum to pay the first month's rent. We had secondhand furniture in the office, and we just like started from literally nothing. But like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it works, we'll keep going. If it doesn't, we'll do something else. So we got there and we started building a team, but the maximum we could get to, other than 1 month, was $30,000 a month. And that sounds like a lot, but when you run a physical bricks and mortar business with staff and everything, that gets eaten up really quickly. So I don't want you to think like, oh, we would have been fine. Like, no, it was very stressful. Like, we were like, how are we going to pay our employees this Friday? It was very stressful. And then when we had it threw a baby into the mix, it was like this. And that's why we started to go, okay, what do we need to do to embody what we're teaching? Because us being stressed out at a healing center is not sitting right with me. And so we started to go, okay, I'll finally let go of this secret method that I've been keeping at the center, and I had to work through that. And then we continued, we completely changed our business. We started teaching online courses, and what happened, we still hit that same glass ceiling of $30,000, because there was an imprint in my body of, we have to at least make minimum that to survive. And this was like deep in my subconscious, where I didn't even realize it was held in there. And so I'm like, after like a year, I'm like, this is crazy. How are we still making the same amount of money with a totally different business? Like, what is happening here? And so that's when I started to learn and tap back into the manifestation, tapping into the future version of myself, releasing somatically, like doing the trauma healing with it, releasing anything in my body that didn't allow me to feel safe. Now, when I met Ryan, well, when I first met Ryan, he wasn't a drug addict, but then the second time I met him, he was full-blown ice addict after his divorce. He's such a sensitive guy, and I can see why he went to those kind of things to feel better. But I had this subconscious belief that, and I didn't even realize that if we made more money, he would go back to his addictions. And it was like silly to say out loud, but like that was a deep fear that I had in my subconscious. So when I was able to shift that and embody and step into my future self and be the person and get really clear about what is it that I want to manifest, within 2 weeks, we got to our goal of a $50,000 a month. Like literally, I'm telling you, nearly 5 years of making 20, 30K months after doing that in 2 weeks, going to 50K. And then ever since then, we've had this, now we're at 100K a month. And then I was like, how come our expenses are always as high as our income? And I'm like, I want to change that. So I started to visualize, which they teach you in manifesting, to visualize, and I teach you guys how to do this, what you want to manifest, and I did it daily. And then the next 2 months, the expenses were this month and the profit was this month, and I worked less than I normally do. And that's the other thing that we teach in trauma-informed manifesting, is planting those new flowers, like planting those in. And so I call it belief planting. There's really a garden theme, isn't there? so planting these new plants, and so the beliefs that I planted are beliefs that sound crazy, but what I've learned from teaching and training hundreds of people in root cause therapy is that negative beliefs, limiting beliefs that are created in traumas, either generationally in the womb or predominantly from years 0 to 7 years old, they have such an impact on how we perceive ourselves. So how we see ourselves and how we see the world, and the decisions that we make, and the emotions, and emotions drive behavior. So then I thought, when I was creating this course, I was like, I know the power of beliefs and how much it affects people's lives, predominantly negatively when you're looking at it from a therapeutic aspect. But I'm like, what if you were to implant positive beliefs that are just as powerful, that are backed up with a lot of energy to the same degree? Does that mean that we're going to attract the same patterns, do the same things to match that positive belief? And yes, it works. So one of the beliefs that I have, which it's slightly controversial and it conflicts with a lot of people's social conditioning and conditioning that we've had going through the system, is that the less I work, the more money I make, right? Crazy. I swear it works, because this month I've been working so much and I'm like, no, I don't seem to be making as much this month. That's really interesting, because I've got that belief. I'm like, why am I conflicting with my own belief? So I've got to remember that, and I've got to remind myself of the beliefs that we have, the positive beliefs that we can plant in can completely change our reality, you know? So I made a conscious decision. I took radical responsibility for what I want to create in my life, and I, through self-love, through healing, through wanting to give my inner child everything that she wants, tap into these new belief systems, tap into this new reality. So the other things, you know, I wrote it on the fridge, is like, every day feels like an adventure. You know, our business is like blowing up, like in a good way, obviously, and things like that, things that bring joy. Now, this is the other thing that I teach in the course, and it's so important, because this is where it comes in with being intuitive, like through our soul. A lot of people have desires that are actually coming from their ego, that are actually coming from their feeling of lack of self-worth. So a lot of people will create a goal, like they'll put it on their vision board of certain things, or things that they think that will finally fulfill that whole of whatever the fear is, or whatever their feeling of like not being loved or not worthy. The awesome thing about what I teach in trauma-informed manifesting is that we're asking our soul, we're asking our higher self, and we're asking for the greater and all good to call in what is our highest timeline and vision that we can have. And it might be that, you know, you're creating like a healing ripple around the world by doing whatever like work you're doing, whatever healing work or coaching work that you're doing. And I teach you, and I give you the script of how to take a client through this as well. Because what happens is shadow desires, when we have those desires, our higher self, the universe, usually won't back them up, because it's not for the highest and greatest good. So then people give up on manifesting because they're like, this isn't working. And they're just trying to do manifesting alone without the trauma healing, right? But you've got to do them both together at the same time. And I can't believe that there's not many people like teaching this, and I was so excited to put it together, because I cannot see one without the other. I can't see you healing your trauma without wanting to also create an amazing life going forward. Like, we can go back, but we've also got to go forward. And so when we look back in 10 years at that, then it's like there's way less trauma healing required, because we've taken those steps, that radical responsibility. We've chosen, we've called in, like, what is our highest path? What should we do that's in the highest and good of all? And then what happens is, and I know, like, please, like, put an emoji below if this is you, but you get an idea, like you know what you what your heart is desiring. So whether that be your business, whether that be a family, a partner, your dream body, whatever it happens to be, and you're like getting this yes from your soul and you're like really excited, and then you go about your day and your intuition is like, all right, so to get that, you've got to do this. Here's some advice. What happens is we go, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden our body's nervous system goes, oh, but I can't do that because people will see me post that, you know, my family will see it, or I can't do that because, and our nervous system, because of trauma, it freaks out and it puts the brakes on and it says, no, this is unsafe. Because what trauma is, it's like a marker in our DNA and in our body, in our nervous system, saying don't do that again because that causes pain. So for example, you know, if we're at school and we got up to do a talk and then we shut off and we forgot what we were going to say and it turns out to be really horrible, that's now in a memory in our nervous system, right? And so if a part of what your purpose is to do public speaking, your body is just going to be like, no. And what will happen is you won't take those action steps that you need to take in order for that goal to manifest. And that's why we need to work with the nervous system to help somatically release these traumas, these blocks in the nervous system that are in the way of you actually taking action on what the intuition is saying you need to do to get to where you want to be. And so this course has a lot of self-healing tools. So you could literally go through it and you get all of the tools that I've used over like the last 8 years, 9 years. You get all of those tools, but you also get a complete coaching strategy of how to take clients through this coaching to help them manifest incredible goals, to understand when a client is going into a certain state. So a traumatic state. So I'll give you an example. When I started my business, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Even though, funny enough, I had studied business when I finished school, I was still like, I don't know what I'm doing. My coaching business, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a business coach. I mean, that's what we all think of. I don't know what to do, get a business coach. I hired a business coach and there was no trauma informed there. It was just like, you need to go get these leads, you need to call all these numbers, why aren't you doing this? Like, it was very like a personal trainer, like an aggressive one, right? I was in tears. I wanted to go and throw up. My nervous system went into shutdown. I got depressed. I got so anxious. I was having panic attacks. Like, I said to him on the phone, I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. And he was just like, you just gotta go throw up and do it anyway. Not trauma informed. Like, you don't wanna be, I don't care if you're male or female or whatever. You do not want to be that coach, and you do not want to be on the receiving end of that. And so when it comes to coaching, it's so important that you understand this. When you're dealing with people, you're dealing with trauma, right? And so many coaches are like, well, if trauma's coming up for you, I'm not going to deal with that. You need to just take these action steps. What's going to happen is your clients are not going to get the best results because you can give them the best answer on like a silver platter. You can give them the best advice, all of your experience, 100% give it all to them, right? And they just won't take action on things that they need to take action on a lot of the time. Some of them will, but a lot won't. Why? Because their nervous system doesn't feel safe to take the certain action steps. So for you as a coach, if you have these methods that I teach, then you can actually recognize, okay, you're having like a reaction here, like let's work through that. Let's see what's coming up for you. And the really cool thing is we don't just generally go like, you know, let's just heal all your trauma. We're not just doing that either. We're going, what is your goal? And let's see in your body what's coming up for you. And the other thing is like, there's no hypnosis in this. There's no, like, people have their eyes open, they can shut it if they want. It's coaching. It's like talking through. So if you like the deeper stuff, if you like the hypnosis and the regression, do our root cause therapy training. So just go to thecenterforhealing.com. Or embodied processing if you like just doing the somatic work. But with the coaching that I teach, it's like, all right, I think there's one guided meditation, but everything else is like, okay, let's talk through this. Like, and that took me years. I actually rejected coaching quite early on, because I'm like, this isn't transformational. But once I found the tools that I teach in this course, it is like, I wouldn't teach it if it wasn't impeccable in terms of that, of being, okay, this is actually transformative, safe coaching. Hi Mel, is this covered by IICT? Yes. If you already have a certification with us, then yes. If you already have like a Reiki certification or an NLP, like you're already certified, then this is recognized as a professional development add-on. So it alone, you can't be accredited. But in saying that, you can still get insurance with another provider anyway. So yes, it's, now I've just lost track of where I was going because you said that, and then I had a message pop up. I get so distracted. I'll have a drink. Yeah, if any of you have any questions, please just jump in. Yeah, like I said, just doing coaching, like you have to be trauma informed these days. Not only in a coaching or a leadership or a management role, but with yourself. So many times, and even for me, when I was younger, I was like projecting my stuff onto other people. Sometimes I get really stressed and I could feel my hands tensing up. Or sometimes I was like going like into like depression, like a shutdown mode, and not able to take action, especially early on in my business. If I had recognized that my body was just trying to keep me safe and it just needed more love and it needed help to be told that this is safe, like getting our human on board with what our soul's desires are. We know that our soul's desires are ethical, right? And so I would prefer to take action on my soul's desires, doing it and taking action like with my human, but with my soul's guidance. If I'm taking action just from my human, and you guys might relate to this, you often take action out of fear. And what happens when you take action out of fear is that more fear comes in, right? Or people feel repelled by you. Another example is, have you ever started dating, like you were single and you started dating, and like someone was like really like into you, like really like, oh my God, like you're amazing, like really early on, and you're like, ooh. Or you were like that with someone and they were like, ooh. Like they were just like, this is gross, like, right? Not that you're gross, but like that feeling, that icky feeling. And where that comes from, and I talk about this in the course, is attachment styles. So our attachment style that we are, I would say, embedded with, or is the outcome of what our parents were like with us. So from in the womb, from when we were born, like those younger years, our attachment styles are coming from there. So it's like, are we anxiously attached because our parents were like explosively angry, or we were slightly neglected, so we're anxious avoidant? And let me know if you know your attachment style as well. Mine is slowly over the years getting to like a healthy attachment style, thankfully. But definitely when I look back, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so anxiously attached. It was crazy, and it made so much sense with how I was brought up. And I'm not like trying to blame my parents or anything, but you can actually look through the lens of your attachment style. And there's quizzes online for any of you that once you jump off this video, you can go attachment style quiz and you can find out what yours is. But through that lens, you can find your attachment style with your money, with business, with your clients, with your loved ones, with how you treat your body, right? And so just say, for example, your attachment style is anxious avoidant. So you might be someone that you get bills, but you ignore them. You don't look at your finances. You try to avoid looking at your bank account unless you know there's lots of money in there. It's this, you're anxious and you put your head in the sand. And so you avoid confrontation and things like that. So that might mean that even with anxiously attached, you might do a post or something and someone might reach out to you to book a session, and you get like really anxious. Oh, I better say like the right thing because you know, maybe they, and again, you're in that fear energy. So what you write to them in your fear energy is going to be different to what you write to a prospect when you're in your abundant, I've got this, confident, I deeply believe in myself energy. It's going to be completely different. And going back to the example with when you're when you're dating, you're going to be kind of like leaning back, like I have certain standards. So if you sign up with me or not, that's totally fine, right? If I do a post and no one likes it, that's totally fine. This kind of resilience, we build this in our nervous system. And we build it in our nervous system by releasing whatever is putting our nervous system in a state that's from past experiences. All right, guys, so I think I'm gonna start wrapping it up. I'll just make sure I haven't missed anyone's questions. If you have any questions, let me know. And just letting you guys know that we're having a 50% off. So that's a saving of 1111. So this ends on the 30th of this month, right? So there's a payment plan, a 12-month payment plan. With our courses and with this one, when you sign up, you get lifetime access. So even if you don't have time to start it now, you can take advantage of the price and start it later, whenever you want to, right? So some people do that. Some people get in and start straight away. How do you get certified is another question that we often get asked. So as you go through the course, after each module is like a really simple assessment where I just get you to like answer a few things that I mentioned in the course. Once you get to the end of the course, you just email me and say, I've done, and my email is in the course. You email and say, I've done, and then I go through and check your answers, and then I send you your certificate, and that's it. So there are demonstration sessions, there's PDFs of exactly how you run a session. There's self-healing tools, so you can go and start healing your issues. There's guided meditations, there's worksheets, there's a practitioner manual. There are a lot of videos, and you can take your time to watch them either on the app, on your phone, or on your computer. So yeah, take advantage of that. I'll just post the link for you guys in here really quick. So if you want to have a look, and if you look at it and you say, Mel, I've looked at it and I have these questions, feel free to jump back onto this live video and actually answer the question. Ask the question, because I can come back and answer it at any time. So click. And if you're still not sure, there is a free introduction training. So if you go onto that page that I just posted, I'll see if I can pin it. No. If you go onto that page I just posted, it'll have like a flash up saying, would you like to enroll into the introduction training? So you can have a look at that and then still decide. So yeah, it ends on the 30th. So I think how many more days? Till next Tuesday. If you're in Melbourne if you're in Australia or New Zealand, we do have a Zip Money facility as well, if that's something that you use, it's kind of like a buy now, pay later, but for more for like trainings and things like that. And that's it, guys. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming. I hope you got something out of it. And again, any questions at all, just that if they pop up later in your mind, please come back here and type it in the comments, or you can go to our website, thecenterforhealing.com, and you can contact our support team and we'll get back to you ASAP. Hope you have a beautiful rest of the morning, evening, night, wherever you are in the world, and thank you so much for coming. Thanks, Vera. Bye, everyone.